The secret behind Alex Eala's $800,000 glory. At the age of 20, she could become a millionaire. But the price of touching that glory, not everyone can endure it. Alexandra Eala, a name familiar in the tennis world. A young player from the Philippines, a former US Open Juniors champion, an icon of Southeast Asian hope. But behind the smile on the court lies a truth never before revealed. Last month, she appeared at the WTA 125 Jingan Open. The goal, the championship, and an $800,000 peso prize, approximately $13,600 US. But the media missed an extremely crucial detail. It wasn't a competition. It was a battle for survival for her entire career. Because just a month before the tournament, Alex almost quit tennis forever. A family crisis, a suppressed behind-the-scenes scandal, and a decision to withdraw from the entire ITF circuit made the world believe she had silently retired. But then she came back. No announcement, no press, no explanation. She arrived in Jingan like a ghost and shook the entire tournament. Because no one knew that just one more win would not only earn her prize money, but also reclaim her honor, her future, and her very self. Behind every serve lay months of psychological struggle. Behind every step on the court were days of hiding from cameras and toxic comments. You won't believe the twist at the 28-minute mark. Because this time, it's not a story about a tennis player. It's the journey of a warrior's resurrection. And the truth at the end of this video will make you view all her matches through a completely different lens. Subscribe to the Pro Tennis Stories 360 channel to not miss the untold journey of Alex Eala. The untold comeback. The victory in Madrid was more than just points. It was a media turnaround. The next day, ESPN reported, Alex Eala returned strong after mysterious hiatus. Marca called her the shadow star, the star who dislikes the spotlight. And the WTA officially placed her on its ones-to-watch list for the current season. But what confused everyone was the speed of her progress after her absence. Stronger serves, wider movement, a colder mentality. A Japanese player commented, Alex is like someone who went through a life-or-death battle somewhere and returned with a new shell. She won one more match in Madrid, this time with a score of 6-3, 7-5 against a French player. And then she met her old rival from the Jingan Open, Wang Xinyu, the one who was the reason for her withdrawal. This time, they met not in China, but in the third round of the Madrid Open. Both stepped onto the court, their eyes icy. Wang led 4-1 in the first set. Alex looked slow, heavy breathing, and made unforced errors. The audience thought everything would repeat. Alex would lose, then disappear. But no. Midway through the sixth game, Alex looked up, gazing into the stands, as if looking for someone. Then turned back, unleashing the most powerful forehand of the match. The ball flew close to the line. The umpire called, and from there, Alex won 5 consecutive games. Set 1, 6-4. Set 2, Wang fought back, forcing a tiebreak. But Alex stayed calm, led 5-1, and ended it with a close-to-the-net volley. The victory was not just personal. It was a declaration. She no longer feared the past. And the person who once made her quit now became the milestone for an unstoppable return. More than just a sporting match. The victory in Madrid elevated Alex Eala's name to a new level. From being overlooked, she appeared on the WTA homepage, was invited to sports talk shows in the UK, and was nominated for the Laureus Rising Star Award. But there was one thing she never did, accept an official interview. Everything was speculation. No one truly knew what she was thinking. And then, after the win against Wang, Alex broke her silence. She appeared on a small podcast called Game Points, not a major channel, not a television station, just an independent show on Spotify. The host asked, "Why here and not CNN or BBC?" Alex replied, "Because I don't need anyone to define me with the stage lights. I just need people who genuinely want to listen." Throughout the 27-minute conversation, Alex talked about being doubted, quitting all ITF tournaments, financial pressure without sponsorship, and the feeling of being abandoned by both her homeland and the world. She didn't cry. But at the 22-minute mark, when mentioning thinking about quitting tennis forever, her voice faltered. "I once thought, if I disappeared, would anyone notice?" The studio fell silent, and the host, choking up, could only say, "I think we all see the answer now." After that podcast, Alex's Instagram followers increased by nearly 200,000 in 3 days. A series of articles analyzing her playing style appeared on Reddit, YouTube, and Twitter. Not because she was a star, but because she was living proof that you can fail, disappear, and still come back, stronger than ever. And that's more than just sports. That's a story of resilience, of not needing to win immediately, but knowing you're on the right path. And when you truly know who you are, you don't need to shout. Just keep playing, and the world will have to listen. Payoff. Legends are not allowed to fail. At 20, most athletes are still struggling to find their footing. But Eala, after a series of crises, is writing a new chapter for herself. And what makes this story special is that she is never allowed to fail. Not because the world expects it, but because every misstep she makes is multiplied twofold. As a Southeast Asian player in a world dominated by Europe and the US, as a young woman once involved in a silent scandal, as the only symbol of the Philippines on the women's tennis map, she has no right to err, but she erred a lot, and then got up and continued. In Madrid, when asked if she was aiming for a Grand Slam, Alex only said, "I don't think about titles. I only think, do I still have a good enough reason to step onto the court today? If yes, then I play." That is the maturity of someone who almost lost everything. And that very thing makes her more dangerous than any young player her age. Because while others compete to win, Alex competes to exist. Every match is a time to prove to herself, "I'm still here." And you know what? Alex's story is not just for tennis lovers. It's for anyone who has ever been doubted, ever disappeared, ever wanted to give up. Because if a girl from a country with no tennis tradition, no major sponsorship, no media crew, can hold her head high amidst European courts, then you can also get up right where you once fell. That's what makes Eala a legend. Not because she has never failed, but because she dared to fail in front of the whole world and still chose to continue. What do you think about this journey? Leave a comment below. And if you want to discover more untold hidden sides of the sports world, subscribe to the Pro Tennis Stories 360 channel now. From clay courts to the $1 million final, Eala was born in Manila, Philippines, where tennis is not part of the national dream. Schools lack courts. The city lacks a structured training system. And most teenagers only know tennis from YouTube highlight clips. But Alex was different. At the age of 7, she stunned a local coach. Not with power, but because she refused to leave the court after practice. She was obsessed, he recounted. Like she knew this sport was her only shot. Alex's family wasn't poor, but professional tennis is unforgiving. A small European tournament costs over $2,000, not including coaching, equipment, or round-the-world airfare. Tennis is a sport for the wealthy. Alex didn't have that luxury. At 13, she earned a full scholarship to the Nadal Academy, which produces top 10 players. But the price was steep. Far from home, speaking a new language, training 6 days a week, living and breathing global competitive pressure. No one spoke Filipino. No parents were by her side. But Alex didn't complain. No plan B, she said. If she didn't succeed here, she had no other choice. She began to play with her mind, studying tactics, exploiting opponents' weaknesses, leveraging every shot as if it were the last time holding a racket. While Russian, German, and American players came from national academies with coaching staff from the ADP, Alex had only one thing, a reason not to fail. And perhaps that very reason helped her overcome players who, by system standards, should have easily defeated her. What do you think if a girl from a country without standard clay courts is the first to bring a WTA title to Southeast Asia? That question may be answered this weekend. The opponent without glamour, but with lethal intent. When the list of players advancing to the final round of the WTA 125 Jingan Open was announced, the name Aliona Falei was almost overlooked. Not because she was weak, but because she was too silent. No prominent social media profile. No viral highlights. No engaging interviews. But to tennis insiders, Aliona is the most terrifying type of opponent. A shadow with a knife. 21 years old, from Belarus, where sport is considered state policy and tennis is nurtured as a geopolitical tool. Children in Minsk don't learn tennis to be famous. They learn to win. And Aliona is the refined product of that system. She doesn't have a powerful serve. No shrieking like Maria Sharapova. But she has precision. Every shot cuts like a knife. No errors, no excess. Especially her backhand. Flat, fast, no spin. A shot that breaks many opponents' mental rhythm after just a few rallies. Alex is the complete opposite. She plays with variation. Slice, topspin, drop shot, angle. She forces opponents to move, feel, and react. But you cannot disrupt someone who has no emotions. And that was the problem. When facing Aliona, a returning wall, Alex didn't just have to hit to win. She had to hit to avoid being paralyzed by the emotionless consistency. There was another pressure no one saw. The nation. The Philippine press called her the new pride. A television station was ready to broadcast the final only if she won the semifinal. Politicians had prepared their speeches. Expectation weighed heavily on every swing of the racket. And when you know that if you lose, you don't just lose for yourself, but you crush the dream of a whole young generation believing in you. Can you keep your hands from shaking? Before stepping into the match, Alex had to battle invisible enemies, prejudice, the opponent's silence, and the gaze of 100 million people back home. Who do you think is scarier? The emotionless player or a whole nation waiting for you to win? $800,000, reward or burnout bait. $800,000 pesos is not just cash. For an athlete like Alex Eala, it's a shining double-edged sword. One side is glory. The other is the hidden pressure waiting to erode her from within. Immediately after her semi-final victory, Alex's phone buzzed nonstop. Messages from management companies, emails from international brands, collaboration offers from corporations she'd never heard of. A luxury tennis shoe brand rush-shipped a full set of gear to her hotel. A Singaporean entertainment group proposed a six-figure media campaign. And an American sports network wanted to buy exclusive rights to follow her journey if she won the final. It all came too fast, too loud, too tempting. Just a week ago, Alex was checking her racket for loose strings. Now the whole world wanted to take her hand and step into the commercial whirlwind. But right then, her longtime manager made a controversial decision. No deals until the final whistle. No contract signed. No interviews conducted. No celebratory status posted. Because he knew, money that comes fast can sweep everything away even faster. In tennis, the names once called future stars, but disappeared just a season later, are too many to count. The spotlight makes you play for the image, no longer to win. The contracts make you lose your hunger. The praises make you forget why you picked up the racket in the first place. Alex could not let that happen. She still wore her old shoes, ate the exact portion from the Nadal Academy, listened to the 2019 practice playlist, the music she listened to every time she lost in Europe. $800,000 could change her life, but only if she controls it, not the other way around. And that is what distinguishes an athlete who wins a match from a legend who defines an era. How many people do you think could refuse a $1 million contract just to stay clear-headed before the most important match of their life? The fatal shot and the imperfect victory. WTA 125 Jingan Open Final. A light rainy afternoon in Shanghai. The stands were not full. The audience consisted mostly of local passers-by. No Philippine flags. No cheering fans with drums. Just a 20-year-old girl standing alone on the court, racket tightly gripped, face steely cold. Her opponent, Aliona Falei, started as expected. Precise, consistent, expressionless. Throughout the first set, She made no double faults, didn't drop her serve, and didn't fall into an emotional state. Every return from Aliona seemed programmed by a tennis machine. Alex was completely different. From the very first point, she moved as if her legs belonged to someone else. But precisely in that high-strung tension, her competitive instinct emerged. Not the glamorous, Instagram highlight kind of instinct, but the survival instinct, the kind of a person who failed in Tunisia, was eliminated in the first round in Italy, who cried alone in the bathroom of a Majorca training court. The first set was lost, but the scary thing was Alex didn't crumble. In the second set, she began to disrupt the rhythm with slices. Serves were no longer aimed at winning points, but at pulling her opponent out of her comfort zone. And then, the turning point came in the sixth game, when Alex counterattacked from a cross-court shot, forcing Aliona far off the baseline, then finishing with a tricky drop shot. The shot that made the Belarusian coach leap up in surprise. From there, everything shifted. The third set was a symphony of resilience. No loud shouts, no highlight-worthy smashes, only silent points, rallies longer than 30 touches, and a psychological battle that earned the umpire's respectful nod. And then match point. Alex served. Aliona returned. 14-shot rally. A backhand too short. Alex launched a topspin forehand into the corner. Winning point. No screaming. No falling to the ground. Alex only looked up at the sky, closed her eyes, took one deep breath. She had won. But just when everything seemed over, the WTA announced Alex's ranking points were pending due to a system update error, meaning the victory was real. But the ranking, the most important reward, was not yet recorded. A victory withheld. A song yet to be sung. A historic shot, but no one was sure when it would be officially recognized. Have you ever won, but felt like you hadn't won at all? The girl who needed no one. Alex Eala walked off the court with no one following her. No coach. No best friend. No media crew. It was her first victory at the Jingan Open, but there was no one to hug or celebrate with. A Chinese reporter posted on Weibo, "That girl looked like she had just escaped a battle, not a tennis match." The truth is, Alex had just escaped more than a set. Throughout the previous week, she posted nothing on social media. No gym photos, no dinner stories, no hashtag, grind mode hashtag as before. An unusual silence, especially for a young athlete who always uses social media to stay in the spotlight. That disappearance was not accidental. An insider source revealed. After leaving the ITF circuit, Alex went through a period of severe psychological breakdown. She canceled a series of small sponsorship contracts, refused interviews, and even left the Southeast Asian Players group chat. The Jingan Open was her first comeback, and she chose the quiet way. The final ace in her first-round win was more than just a set-ending point. It was a declaration, a way of saying, "I don't need applause. I just need a chance." In the stands, an amateur videographer captured the scene of her carefully folding each towel into her bag, as if preparing for a much longer journey. Perhaps, in a world where young players compete to show highlights, Alex chose to step back. Not because she was weaker, but because she was waiting for the right moment to hit the counterpunch that the world never saw coming. And you know what's funny? Since that match, people started noticing her, precisely because of her silence. The return, but not to rest. Immediately after her first victory, Alex didn't rest. No commemorative posts, no interviews. Instead, she returned to the practice court, just hours after leaving the main arena. Her temporary coach, a Hong Kong native, recounted, "I've never seen an athlete like that. She doesn't talk much, but every shot sends a message." Alex knew the next match would be many times harder. Her opponent was a veteran player from Serbia who had reached the WTA 250 semifinals 2 years prior. And that was more than technical. It was a mental test. The second match didn't take place under favorable conditions. Blazing sun, strong wind, and a crowd cheering for anyone but her. In the first set, Alex was down 1-4. She made 3 consecutive double faults. Commentators began to state, perhaps This young girl is still not tough enough for the big stage. But then, in the sixth game, facing the risk of losing another break, Alex changed tactics. She played deeper to the baseline, forcing her opponent to move wide, reducing power, increasing spin. The result? She won 5 consecutive games and closed the first set 6-4. A comeback that surprised even the tournament organizers. In the second set, the opponent tried to rally, but couldn't break the rhythm Alex established. The match ended 6-4, 6-3. No cheering. No one rushed onto the court to celebrate. Just Alex, walking to her chair, closing her eyes for 15 seconds, then getting up again, tidying every water bottle. A Japanese spectator noted in his personal blog, "I don't know who she is, but I think I just saw a player who will go far." Because some people are not born to be famous, but to remind the world, silence sometimes is the signal of an approaching storm. The stolen dream and the strange disappearance. After her second victory, the third-round schedule was announced. Alex would face the local player, Wang Xinyu, who had defeated even Venus Williams at an exhibition match last year. Chinese media began to pay attention to the strange girl from the Philippines. Some articles called her the dark horse of the Jingan Open. A local sports newspaper even likened her to a southeast wind that chills Beijing. But then, the next morning, when everyone expected Alex to walk onto the practice court as usual, no one saw her. The WTA homepage temporarily removed her name from the schedule. Rumors exploded. Injured? Fever? Disqualified due to a technical error? What was the truth? No one knew. No one spoke. Her Instagram account remained silent. The temporary coach did not reply to messages. And it wasn't until the afternoon that the organizers confirmed. Alexandra Eala requested to withdraw from the tournament due to personal reasons. No further details. But there was a strange thing. A hotel staff member in Jingan posted on Xiaohongshu, China's equivalent of Instagram, that a tennis player checked out at 4 a.m., carrying only a backpack and leaving by taxi. Everything matched Alex. And if that was true, it meant she had left Jingan before anyone even knew she was absent. No explanation, no goodbye. Both international and regional media were speechless. Why would a player who was reviving her form on a winning streak abandon the biggest opportunity of her career? Some said she was bullied internally. Some believed she was depressed. Others thought there was a reason that couldn't be made public yet. And for the next 2 weeks, no one heard any news about Alex Eala. No tournaments. No articles. No signs. Only an empty space and the big question, why did she disappear? The resurrection in Madrid. 14 days after disappearing from Jingan, Alex Eala unexpectedly appeared in Madrid. No announcement. No media coverage. But the WTA 250 Madrid Open entry list had her name, thanks to a wild card whose origin no one knew. The Spanish press was stunned. A player who had just quit in China was allowed to compete in Europe just 2 weeks later? No one understood what was happening. But what Alex did in the opening match made the entire stadium hold its breath. Her opponent was an Italian player ranked 86th in the world. The match started slow. Alex lost an early break, and the first set went 3-6. No one had any expectations for her, a player from a country not known for tennis, who had just disappeared and had no support team. But in the second set, something in her awakened. An icy face, a perfectly precise serve, a forehand so powerful and deep that the opponent could only defend. She won the second set 6-2. The third set was a battlefield. Every point lasted over 15 shots. Both players were physically exhausted. But Alex, somehow, did not falter. On match point, when the opponent served, Alex returned with a cross-court backhand. Winner. The whole court erupted. Not because she was a star, but because everyone understood. She had just overcome not only her opponent, but also herself. The organizers had to call security to escort her off the court, as the crowd requesting photos grew. On the same day, her Instagram account posted a single story after weeks of silence. A black and white photo, No caption, just a tennis ball emoji and small text in the corner. I'm still here. 3 simple words. But to those who followed her since the start of the year, it was a powerful answer. Alex didn't need to justify herself. She only needed a victory to let the world know she never left tennis. It's just that the world took its eyes off her too soon.